China just flipped the script in global trade, sending shockwaves through Europe with a bold and unexpected move. By slapping hefty tariffs on electric vehicles, China has not only challenged the status quo, but also threatened to reshape economic interactions on a global scale. What does this mean for the future of international trade? Could this decision be the catalyst for a seismic shift in global economic policies? Or is it merely the first salvo in what could become a full-blown trade war? Continue following as we unravel the finer points of this current development and assess the possible outcomes of China's startling tactics. As tensions mount between global economic powers, could a major trade war be on the horizon? The European Union has decided to impose substantial tariffs on Chinese electric cars beginning July 4th. China is enraged, labeling this action as unjust and threatening strong countermeasures. This situation extends beyond just cars. China is also considering imposing taxes on European pork, which could negatively impact European farmers. With the U.S. already placing tariffs on Chinese products, the global community is watching closely. China's Premier Li Qiang has recently warned about the risks associated with these trade tensions. Will China and the EU manage to find a resolution, or are we heading towards a significant economic conflict? The trade dispute between the EU and China is intensifying, driven by concerns over fair competition and protective measures. Starting July 4th, 2024, the EU intends to raise tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles dramatically from 10% to 38.1%. The EU argues that this increase is necessary to address what it perceives as unfair advantages that Chinese EV manufacturers have gained through substantial subsidies. China strongly opposes this action. Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wenzhong and Valdis Dombrovskis, the Executive Vice President of the European Commission, have agreed to start discussions to tackle the issue. However, China demands that the EU reverse its tariff decision by July 4th and comply with World Trade Organization regulations. China denounces the EU's actions as outright protectionism and argues that the investigation is biased. These tariffs could provoke retaliatory measures from China, potentially leading to an anti-dumping investigation into EU pork imports. This back and forth could escalate into a larger trade conflict, impacting both economies adversely. Experts warn that the EU's actions indicate a rising trend toward protectionism, which could negatively affect both European consumers and Chinese manufacturers. This situation underscores the interconnectedness of the global economy and the complexities involved in resolving trade disputes. The EU's recent decision to increase tariffs on Chinese electric vehicle imports has amplified trade tensions between these two economic giants. This action raises concerns about the possibility of a significant trade conflict similar to the US-China trade dispute, which previously disrupted global supply chains and economic growth. In response, China has quickly initiated an investigation into EU pork imports for potential dumping. This move is perceived as retaliation and a warning designed to safeguard its own industries. However, there is a substantial risk of further escalation, as both sides might introduce additional tariffs and trade barriers. The investigation into EU pork imports is a strategic move, as pork is essential to several European countries, such as Denmark, Spain, and Germany. By focusing on this sector, China aims to pressure the EU into re-evaluating the tariffs on electric vehicles. A full-scale trade war between China and the EU would have a significant impact on both economies and global trade. China and the EU are each other's largest trading partners, with their trade surpassing 800 billion euros in 2022. Disruptions could lead to issues in supply chains, job losses, and slower economic growth. Furthermore, the deep interconnection between Chinese and European economies is vital. Many European companies run factories in China, and Chinese businesses depend on European technology and expertise. Extended disputes could disturb these essential economic ties, affecting innovation and efficiency in both regions. While China's initial actions seem targeted, further escalation could pose severe global economic risks. Finding a diplomatic solution and avoiding a full-scale trade war would benefit both parties, safeguarding businesses, consumers, and overall economic stability. The tariff increase is intended to protect European automakers from a potential influx of cheaper Chinese EV imports and to maintain the competitiveness of the EU's auto industry. However, German automakers have expressed concerns that this move could trigger a trade war and weaken Europe's auto sector. This tariff rise is expected to impact Chinese exports of EV components and lithium-ion batteries to Europe, disrupting supply chains and increasing costs for European EV manufacturers reliant on Chinese components. The tariff hikes could extend their impact beyond electric vehicles to sectors such as solar panels. China is a major player in solar cell production, so higher tariffs could increase costs for European countries transitioning to renewable energy. This tariff decision might further strain EU-China trade relations and provoke retaliatory actions from China, potentially affecting other European export industries. Some experts believe that the tariffs could slow the global transition to clean energy by raising costs for EVs and renewable technology, thereby impeding efforts to reduce carbon emissions and combat climate change. Increased tariffs on Chinese EVs could lead to higher prices for European consumers, which may slow EV adoption, particularly in price-sensitive market segments, and delay the shift toward eco-friendly transportation. Certain European nations, such as France, back stricter measures against Chinese EV imports to address issues related to unfair subsidies and to protect local industries. While these tariffs are intended to create a more level playing field for European automakers, there are concerns about their potential adverse effects on the EU's transition to electric vehicles. By raising costs for Chinese EVs, the tariffs might hinder their adoption in Europe, possibly obstructing the bloc's objectives to cut carbon emissions. Supporters of the tariffs argue that they are necessary to address China's significant subsidies and protect European jobs and industries. They believe that developing a robust domestic EV industry is essential for the EU's long-term economic competitiveness and technological advancement. As these tariffs come into effect, their long-term impact will depend on several factors, including China's reaction, consumer demand for EVs, and how effectively European automakers use the protective measures. Here's the situation. Tensions between China and the European Union are escalating over tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, with a real risk of this turning into a full-scale trade war. China is displeased with the EU's new tariffs, labeling them as blatant protectionism, highlighting the seriousness of the issue. The EU's decision to increase tariffs to 38.1% on Chinese EV imports, in addition to the existing 10% duty, has raised concerns about potential damage to economic cooperation between the two sides. Both China and the EU need to engage in discussions to resolve these issues and avoid exacerbating the situation. Given their economic interdependence, finding a diplomatic solution is crucial to prevent negative outcomes for both economies. The fact that both sides are open to talks and aiming for a peaceful resolution is a positive sign that they are committed to maintaining a stable and fair trade relationship. Looking forward, the EU's actions could influence how major countries manage trade disputes in the future, making this a significant moment for global trade. It's important for the EU to consider the broader implications for worldwide trade and strive for a fair solution that maintains strong cooperation. As China's unexpected tariff decision begins to take effect, the future of EU-China trade is shrouded in uncertainty and potential risk. This bold move could either drive significant changes in global trade dynamics or escalate into a broader conflict with widespread economic implications. The deep interconnection between these economic giants means that both will need to carefully manage their next steps to mitigate negative impacts on their industries and the global economy. The coming months will be pivotal in determining whether this confrontation will lead to a resolution or evolve into a more severe trade dispute. Ongoing developments will reveal how this situation unfolds and its potential repercussions on the global stage. What do you think China's latest move means for the future of global trade and EU-China relations? Share your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section below. For more insights and updates on this evolving story, don't forget to join the Revel Discovery community by hitting that subscribe button. Stay informed and keep up with the latest developments in the world of international trade and technology.